Well, hello everybody. This is Daniel with Daniel's Bullion Coins. I have my sweet wife Ingrid here today,
Good morning.
and we're going to take some questions and comments on gold and silver this week.
Okay, I was going to ask you about last night we learned that the U.S. was downgraded. Now tell me about that. What does that
Okay.
mean?
Yes. So there are three agencies. It's the S&P, the Fitch, and then Moody. S&P downgraded us in 2011. Fitch downgraded us in 2023, and now Moody's, the last and final one, downgraded us last night from
Ugh.
AAA plus status down to down one notch. So let's look back in history, see what that means. When the S&P downgraded us, gold gained 15%. So from here, we're at 3,200. That would put us at about $3,600 per ounce for gold, which shouldn't be a problem because we've been at 3,500
Yeah.
already. The tariff things are
Yeah.
playing some effect into the market, but not so much. The dollar is what's really ultimately driving things, and these little tiny tariffs on, tariffs off, negotiations up, negotiations down, have just little effects on the ultimate trend of it going up.
Yeah. So what do they base it and who are they? I mean, give us a little background. So who
Okay.
they are and what do they base it on?
Okay, so they look at what your debt is, what the nation's debt
Ooh.
is, yes, and their ability to repay it. Just like credit cards look at you as whether or not you're risky.
Right.
And a lot of it is how much debt you have, how well you've been making your payments, and those
Right.
types of things. And so they're recommending it to the bond buyers, and so pension funds. So pension funds want a third party to tell them what something is worth. Is
Right.
this a junk bond? Is this a AAA rated bond? And then they go out and they'll sell these pensioners these packages, and they say, okay, well, it's backed by S&P and Moody and Finch, and it has this rating. So then these pension funds can invest in it. And if the rating gets low enough, you start losing pension funds and you start losing investors. Each notch that you go down, fewer and fewer people want to invest in it because they say, oh, we only invest in AAA stocks and AAA bonds and things like
Right.
that. So you start to lose. So then when you have your auction and you're trying to sell your bonds and raise money to run your deficits, you have to start paying more. Your interest rate starts going up. And that is what Scott Bessett's number one concern is, watching the interest rate as we get closer and closer to 5%. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that, watch the debt market, because that's ultimately what controls how soon this entire thing collapses.
So you think Moody's did that based on what? I mean, were they? I mean, you think things are kind of looking up, you know,
Right.
but they
Well,
put
we,
it
we
down.
say we think, as MAGA, we really think things are looking up. But we have to keep in mind that this is going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
We are seeing rulings. We saw a 7-2 ruling come out of the Supreme Court yesterday, and that looks very bad for the Trump administration because we've got we
Yeah,
thought we
that
had
was
some
terrible.
conservatives in there, but it's not the end of the world, because this 7-2 ruling is just this thing going back to the Texas 5th district and trying to get them to work it out and decide. But ultimately, it's going to come back to the Supreme Court, and they're going to have to decide this deportation issue. It's a small issue, but you can see that we're losing Supreme Court justices, and we thought that Amy and Brett and these other, they were going to be conservatives that Trump had put in, but all three of the ones that Trump put in his last administration are giving him trouble.
We just wonder what's happening. I mean,
Well, it's going to
last
be
administration, like I was telling you last night, we agreed that he had so many snakes around him.
He did,
I mean,
and they were
traitors.
recommending the wrong people.
Yeah,
and we got the wrong people, it looks like, not conservatives, not constitutional readers.
Right.
I mean, you look at their opinions when they're writing their opinions,
Ugh.
and it's just ludicrous
Yeah.
that, you can come into the U.S. illegally and steal a citizenship. That's like going into the bank and stealing money. You're coming in illegally,
Yeah.
and I'm an anchor. My family got here by anchor baby.
great-great-granddad.
Great-great-granddad, was born here. And, so I understand, but times have changed. Situation is different. We have a battle. We have terrorism to deal with. We have drugs to deal with. I think the anchor baby thing has run its course.
Yeah.
And of course the judicial battle that he's having, that's really what was going on this
Yeah.
week. These injunctions, and the big thing about these injunctions is they really started like 10 or 15 years ago. We had over a couple of hundred years without injunctions. Now all of a sudden the left is able to stop the agenda, which when you talk about Trump's agenda, you have to look at the overwhelming, massive fact that Trump was elected. Not only was it 80 million
Right.
votes, but he was a guy that was impeached and
Yes, twice.
lawfare with all of
Oh
the
my
legal
gosh,
battles
yeah.
against him. And 80 million people came out and said that there's a deep state and that there's a problem.
Right.
And they
So much
resoundingly
corruption. Yeah.
went above and beyond, not saying, hey, that's a deep state activity, because how could you have impeachments and assassination attempts and lawfare
Yeah.
and still get 80 million votes?
Yeah.
And he won like the purple states, all seven
Yes,
of the
the
purple
swing
states, the
states,
swing
yes.
states, won the popular vote.
Yes.
So we have a resounding thing as the
Right.
executive branch elected.
Yes.
And then as far as the judicial branch, and them stepping in with almost 700 federal judges
Right.
trying to stop the agenda that the people
Unbelievable.
voted for.
Yeah.
So we have a constitutional crisis
Yeah, we
happening
do.
along with an economic crisis at the same time.
Yeah.
So we're positive and we're looking up, but this is going to be very difficult. And if we don't give Trump the right and the capabilities to do what he needs to do to straighten out the currency problem, then we will deal with this currency problem forcibly. It will be forced on us. And if that
Yeah.
happens, I believe we'll actually lose the Constitution. We'll lose the Republic. So it's a matter of saving the Constitution.
Yeah.
And that sounds Chicken Little, but I really believe that we are teetering on a
Yeah.
constitutional republic problem. Maybe not in my lifetime, but certainly in our kids and our grandkids' lifetimes, the Constitution is up for grabs.
It's a matter of prayer, that's for sure. The
It
church
sure
needs
is.
to come together and pray and take authority. But
It's time to come
That's
back to our
another
roots.
video.
Yes.
okay, then another thing, we're talking about how the people want to invest, but they say, my broker tells me it's too volatile.
Oh, it's so funny. Every time gold goes down 10%, we get the comments on our YouTube channel. We see other comments on other YouTube channels, but we get customers that come in here. And I had a guy in here yesterday,
Yeah.
and he was barrel face rolling on the floor, laughing and hysterical that gold is too volatile and that his broker tells him it's too volatile.
Yeah.
Well, this is somebody that's not slowing down and looking at the facts, looking at the numbers and educating yourself on the history. And we've talked about the 5 avenues
Yeah.
that I go with, but you've got to look at the fact that gold has outperformed the Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah.
And your broker's making a percentage. If it goes up or down, he's charging you
Right.
money. He's
Yep.
making money. Whether it goes up or down, they're charging you and making money. And the laws that are in place that keep him from even legally advising you
Advising
on
silver or
gold.
gold, yeah.
So, look at gold. It went from $35 to $3,500. And you're going to tell me, and it beats Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah.
And then you're going to laugh when it's down a little bit. Yes, they may make bigger swings, but that's telling you something's wrong.
Yeah.
Something is wrong in the economy.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, we were asking why it goes up $50 and that say down $50.
Yes,
I mean, it's
that
like
tells you
crazy.
that volatility. And you go back and you look at the Great Depression, you look at all the recessions and
Yeah.
things. Volatility huge ups, huge downs. Jim Sinclair, before he passed away, he talked about these $100 swings up and down. It's telling you that the system is breaking. And we're looking at Trump and we're wondering, is it going to make it? Are we going to get, is he going to be able to do this?
Yeah.
You know, and he's doing so much. We've talked about it in other videos to bring down inflation and bring manufacturing back. And this week he did the pharmaceuticals. You know, some pharmaceutical drugs are costing $1,600 in this country, but costing $40 in other countries. So we're getting preferred nation status now with our pharmaceuticals. And the reason it's like that is because the pharmaceuticals pay off our congressmen and all. It's the largest lobbyist. I think it's 6 times larger than the second lobbyist, the next lobbyist in line. So they're the ones that are pushing all of it.
And there's so many ads. I mean, we don't watch TV, but if you tried to watch a program now, I think they're just so full of pharmaceutical ads. It's unbelievable.
Right. They're trying to paint a picture for that pharmaceuticals, which is a good thing. You know, we have longer life because of pharmaceuticals. The problem is they're pumping us with all this. They're pumping our food full of it. They're pumping us full of it. And they're pumping the politicians with cash. You know, Bernie Sanders and all of them are making astronomical money off of the pharmaceuticals. So that's a real problem, and Trump is dealing with that this week, and that's going to help to bring down inflation. You know, so add that to the list of our drill baby drill videos.
Yes. So you even said we were even saying Warren Buffett got out of his.
Oh right. Yeah. So Warren Buffett, he retired this week, and he had his speech at his retirement party or whatever. And what do you think he said? He said, "Get out of the dollar." He said, "Get out of paper, be weary of it." And so here they are, they've got $1/3 trillion in cash. When we say in cash, it's a part of that's in treasuries, but it's very liquid. They're very liquid. And it goes back to this, that all of this gold and this silver that's coming out of the COMEX. We've talked about in other videos how it came out of the LBMA came into the COMEX. Well, now it's coming out of the COMEX. So somebody's taking delivery of it, and it's a big enough entity that they're able to hide it. And talk about a big enough entity. Berkshire Hathaway gave $250 million to the Democrat Party each 4 years, but the Democrat Party gives back $1 billion. So you see this rinse, wash, repeat cycle where Berkshire Hathaway is catering to the no gold, no silver thing because they want to keep the party going. When we came off of the gold standard, when Nixon took us off the gold standard, that was an open sign to, hey, look, we're going to spend and things are going to go through the roof because we're going to print money. So they want to keep the printing going.
So, because you said Buffett, he sold his shares to the Berkshire Hathaway.
Berkshire Hathaway.
They're still promoting no gold, no silver, but he himself is sold.
Right.
And he personally, we think, is stacking gold and silver.
And we know, and you see massive, I don't know if it's the U.S. or if it's Berkshire Hathaway, but and we know for a fact that like J.P. Morgan, they had 0 ounces of silver in their possession when the 2008 crisis happened. Now they've stacked, I can't remember, is it 300 million or 600 million ounces of silver that they themselves have stacked, getting ready for the next collapse that's coming, because you'll have to have gold and silver in order to make it. And we've talked a little bit about this before, and we've talked about doing a video exclusively on fertilizer. But look at trying to imagine if you had to go back to planting a garden, raising your animals, processing those animals. Look at people. Do you think how many people? There's no way they could go back to being self-sufficient. The U.S. is trying to go back to self-sufficient by bringing home manufacturing, strengthening our dollar, and protecting our military by providing our own metals and things to make the weapons that we need. So this is huge. These naysayers that say, oh, Trump is doing this, don't understand that we need control of our currency. We need control of our minerals in order to be self-sufficient. And we as humans, beings individually, need to be self-sufficient. We talk about, having your own Rolodex, having your own side hustle, having your gold and silver, having your own pantry. And just to be self-sufficient, because if something happens, you would be
Yeah.
SOL.
Ugh. Ugh. That's not good. Okay, well, my next question is, what should the ratio be to gold and silver?
Right. So right now it's a little over 100 to 1. It's been toying right
crazy.
around that, which is an outrageous number. And we know that in history it was originally established way back in the Spaniards, about 15 to 1. And they did that on the labor. And right now we're looking at the labor at 10 to 1 coming out of the ground. Some would say it's
Yeah.
9 to 1. That's right there at the mine. But by the time you process, because it's only one coin, 1 ounce of silver, but
Gold.
it's of gold. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
1 ounce of gold. It's
Yeah.
only one coin. So
Right.
one
It's real
person,
light.
real light. They
1
they put it
ounce.
in a machine. They crank it. Okay, you got
Yeah.
one done. But then you have to do 100 coins of
Yeah,
silver.
that's
So you've got the weight, you've got the
Very
wear and tear of the
heavy. Yeah.
machine, the labor, all of that. So now you're 15 to 1 coming out of the factory and getting
Right.
to the coin shop. But just look at the average. You don't even have to go back to the labor fact and history.
Right.
Just look at the average, which is like 45 to 1. So that would double the price of gold right there.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So let me ask you now. We didn't start off with this, but when we go back to what happened in the shop this week.
Wow. Yes, we normally start out with the shop to-do thing.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you may have noticed the cabinet in the back has been under construction
Yeah.
for weeks and weeks and weeks now. And
Yeah.
I finally got the glass, and I'm installing the glass in here, and it's going to be really nice to have the clear glass
Yeah.
back in. We were broken into years ago and lost some glass doors here and there, and I'm finally getting those back together. But as far as customers, I call it the slow, slower, and slowest. 3 weeks ago it was slow. Last week it was slower, and this week was the slowest. It's just getting slower and slower and quieter here at the shop. People don't know which way things are going to go. They're not as concerned. I don't know if they feel like the MAGA, Trump is solving the problems and they want to keep their cash. So it's gotten really quiet here, and that's the time to buy. You've seen us lower the prices.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, we were at $30 an ounce for bars. We cleared out a lot of those, and then we went to spot, and even for our good customers, our regular customers, we went below spot for the 90%,
Yeah.
and we're going to continue that this week, offering 90%, and we're offering gold a little bit below the internet pricing, just because it's a buyer's market
Yeah.
right now for gold and silver.
And you think that's because also, like I was telling you off camera, that the gold, is that why they're not coming in? Gold's up $50 and it's down $50. They're like, why would I want to
Yes.
go in and buy? I could get it maybe cheaper tomorrow. Or,
Yes.
Or,
yes.
What's going to happen
Well,
with
we're
it?
getting those phone calls too. Hey, it was at 31.50 or something.
Yeah.
In paper price was intraday low. So I got a couple of phone calls, people checking to see what they could get it for. Well, the market manipulators like J.P. Morgan driving it down, they are successfully turning the retailers away, which is what they want to do. Never mind the fact that 700% increase
Wow.
in the deliveries of gold and silver in just the first few days. I think there's 8 days
Oh my
of
goodness.
deliveries in May, and we're up 700%. So something's going on with Berkshire Hathaway saying, hey, the paper, get
Yeah.
out of that. 700%, someone's taking a 700%
someone is. 700%.
increase. That's the industrial banks, the people that are in the know. And they're convincing the retailers to get out by manipulating the paper price down, and the portfolio managers telling people it's too volatile, don't get into it.
Yeah.
Now, we're not financial advisors.
Right.
We're just having fun, running our little coin shop here, giving you our opinion. Mainly, we're telling you go out and get more information, educate yourself, talk to a
Yeah.
financial advisor, and find out what's best for you.
Yes. Okay, I've got the
Wow.
name Ray Dalio down here.
Ray
tell me about
Dalio.
him.
So he came out this week and said, you think $35 to $3,500 for gold was a big jump. He said, wait until you see what's coming. And he also said $500 for silver. And Ray Dalio is a very rich very intelligent man who's built a huge company and net worth.
Oh.
And when people like him are telling you, you know, triple digit silver or $3,500 is nothing in gold, it's
Yeah.
something to look into. Don't take my
Right.
word, don't take his word, just look into
Just
it,
start
educate
investigating,
yourself.
yeah.
Right, maybe find a good book on it, maybe we can start recommending some.
Yeah.
Don't take just my word for it, educate yourself, get ready.
Yeah.
You know, not
Get
just gold
ready.
and silver, maybe a pantry, maybe a little garden,
Yeah.
maybe a side hustle.
Yeah. Interesting. Thank you, darling.
Thank you so much, everybody. Be blessed. Look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.
Blessings, everybody.
Bye-bye.